Hey guys, welcome back to another video at Jensen's Reptiles. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm currently sitting on the floor next to Zeke's enclosure, and I'm going to be doing some little updates on the snakes week by week. So it'll be a different snake each week, and I'm going to talk a bit about their enclosure, their setup, a bit about their requirements, and also kind of how I got them. So I thought I'd start with Zeke because he's showing off at the moment and he's sitting up in his branch looking glorious. So Zeke is currently in this 4 foot wide, 4 foot tall, 2.5 foot deep enclosure, and he is in desperate need of an upgrade. I'm actually so behind on upgrades, it's ridiculous. I'm sure you guys can understand sometimes life just gets in the way, and it's done that. Should be back on track in the next few months, which will be great, and Zeke is going to be getting an enclosure double the length of this one, so a nice 8 foot enclosure. It may not have the same height to it just because I need the structure to be sound, but it'll still be pretty tall, so he'll have a chance to go climbing like he is now. So Zeke has his ceramic over here, and he only has LED lighting at the moment, but I'm going to be installing a UV flood lamp for him just up top here, so that when he's basking on this platform, which he does daily, he'll have heat and some UV as well, which will be great for him. He has his cold hide over here. No, sorry, his is warm hide, obviously, underneath heat source, and his cold hide, which is over there. I got confused because I just swapped the two around recently. He's got a fairly decent sized water bowl. This is the biggest one that's available from Exoterra, but I really need to get him a bigger one when his enclosure is upgraded, so that he can soak in it if he wants to. He used to really enjoy sitting in his bowl, so I feel kind of bad that he can't do it at the moment, but I still let him out and swim in the bath whenever he wants to, so he's not completely without it. But yeah, so this is the main man himself. Zeke came to me as a rescue from a friend of somebody I used to work with, and she let me know that her friend was really struggling to look after him because he was really, well, they said he was aggressive, and that he would bite at every opportunity he had to, which is really sad. It's not really common for a snake to do that, especially when they've been handled since they were young. So I knew straight away that something was either wrong with him or wrong with the setup at the time. And it turned out he was in perfect health, but his setup was really not great. He had nowhere to hide. He had a heat mat stuck to the back of the enclosure, but it was on a really low temperature, so it was giving him no kind of ambient heat at all, no basking heat. He had a cat litter tray as a water bowl, which is great size-wise, but it wasn't weighted with anything, so he would knock it over, and then he was sitting in wet substrate until the chap that had him changed it. And because Zeke would try and bite him every time he opened the door, he ended up not really changing it very often. So you can imagine a snake that's already kind of grumpy because he has nowhere to hide, the light is on 24/7. Then, you know, when a hand comes in, he freaks out because he has nowhere to get away. And then on top of that, he's sitting on wet substrate, which hasn't been cleaned, in his own mess, and he just was not a happy guy. You can see Zeke now, he's quite big. He's just over 6 foot now. When he came to me, he was just under 4 feet long, and he weighed just 1.5 kilos. Now he's about 4.5, 5 kilos. He's quite heavy, but he was quite small, so I put him in an enclosure. I gave him 2 hides and lots of cork tubes to tunnel in. If you go back to my previous videos, you'll be able to see the enclosure that I first put him in. And I gave him some time, because everything was new. Not only was it every new smell, but I have other animals, and at the time I was keeping some rats as well, so really there were a lot of smells for him to get used to. So I gave him some time, and he settled in so well. He's now one of the tamest animals that I have. He chooses when he comes out, so he'll just come over to the glass, I open the door and out he comes. He will happily sit on my lap for days if I let him. Zeke has struck at me twice since I've had him. Once was in the first week when I went to change his water bowl. He struck at me with his mouth closed, so it was really just a please get out of my space, so I did. And then the second time it was completely my fault. I was playing around with the cables in his enclosure and I didn't see him next to my hand, and he again got a bit spooked and he let me know. But he's never bitten me. He's super chill. You can see him, he's so relaxed. I mean, I can put the camera right up in his face or kind of even pull him out if I wanted to, and he's an incredibly chilled out animal. The way that I do things with Zeke is a bit different to my other animals. I don't put any pressure on him to come out unless he wants to. With most of my snakes, I don't pull them out of the enclosure because it's their space. You know, if they want to hide, if they want to feel secure, their home should be that for them. But they all choose to come out, which is lovely because they get some enrichment and I get to spend some time with them. And with Zeke, he is very much a good example of that because he will just let me know when he wants to come out. He'll come and sit at the front of the glass. He will tap the lock even, which is funny because you can hear it from a couple rooms away, and you come through and he's ready. So he has his favourite chair in the lounge with a sheepskin rug on it that he likes to sit on, and he will happily spend the day there if I let him. But yeah, so we recently put in this big branch for Zeke, and I'm trying to get a view of how high it is. So the enclosure is 4 feet high and it goes pretty much right up to the top. With this enclosure being smaller than I want for him, it was so important that I gave him space to climb, because you can see he loves to climb. Boas are not, completely ground animals. They love to climb, and in the wild you'll often see them in a tree. They're very, very good at catching birds. They have incredibly fast reflexes. So giving him the space to climb was so important, and I'm so happy to find this branch. It's perfect for him. So until I can give him that extra space, which hopefully won't be too much longer, I've got him at least some room to climb, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that he can always stretch out until he's got room to stretch out in the enclosure completely. So yeah, so that's Zeke. He is one of the big loves of my life. I can't imagine a time without him anymore. And if you have any questions about him or his setup, I know I haven't covered everything in detail. I want to keep these videos under 10 minutes because I'm going to do them weekly on each of the snakes for the next 10 weeks. So hopefully around 10 minutes for each one, maybe less. And yeah, I definitely won't be able to cover everything in that time, but if you do have questions, always let me know in the comments, and maybe I can answer you straight away or cover them in another video if I need to. But yeah, the comments are a great place to talk because I usually get back within the day, and you'll have a reply. So don't be scared to ask if you have any questions, and I will catch up with you all soon.